Welcome everybody to Open Source Antibiotics Series 2, Friday, September the 4th. I will now share screen so that I can just highlight, wait a second, which one am I doing here? Should have set this up before I did it. All right. So hopefully, are you seeing this thing? So you see my window moving?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. So I'm just going to edit that. Oh, sorry, no, I'm going to edit the main thing. So the idea here is to work through this agenda. Thanks for putting this up here, Dana. We can just work through the various things here. So, I mean, I guess just taking a step back, the project is at the point where, you know, chemistry's started. So Ed and Dana have been doing a bunch of molecule synthesis, and we need to get those evaluated to see what changes we're making. And we're trying to push on both of the mechanism of action stuff and the metabolic clearance side of this project. Those are the three main aims: you know, SAR, clearance, and mechanism of action. And we have to give an update to our funders by the end of September. That's not the final end, but you know, we have to try and give an update as soon as we can. And yeah, I think once we've sent some compounds for evaluation for potency, there'll be a little bit of a delay while we sort of work out what the results are. And we need to take on board the results from Monash, and then we can do better design for the second phase. So it'll go in fits and starts, but we're at a particularly productive period at the moment, I think, where we're getting everything going. The aim here with the project is, though it's not a full, you know, full year-long research project, the aim here is to get just enough data that we can make a decision on whether to go for follow-up funding. That's basically where we are. So it's good, you know, but it is still short-term because we have to try and get things done within the time frame we were funded for. All right, so I'm just going to edit this live here. So mechanism of action stuff, yeah, Lee Graves at UNC is the guy who's going to be doing the relevant experiments, which have been talked about previously. And he wrote today that he's ready to go. So the sort of, I think the action analysis is done, but he's going to do these. So we'll now do, and maybe we can chase this in a couple of weeks, let's say, because he said he was going to get going with those, which is good. All the compounds he needs are, I think, at Chapel Hill already. So that's good. For the Monash measurement of in vitro PK, we have done all the shipping. I think we've completely finished, right, Diana? I mean, it's all done, right? So
yeah, everything's been
and Ed shipped the other compound that we needed from us, right? So there was a problem that some of the compounds are available as solids, but not one of the key ones, and Ed shipped that. All right, great. We can get rid of all this. So this is now complete, and we're awaiting the data. That's it, which is good. So we don't need to do anything about that. I'm sure those data will come through without us chasing them. So I think that's really good. For the screening, yeah, so Paul Stapleton, my colleague, is getting the assay up and running already, and he is going to have that ready by next Wednesday. So he is ready to test the evaluation of these compounds versus MRSA from next Wednesday. So I gave him an approximation of like 10 compounds or so that we were going to send him like on Wednesday. Is that still about right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Great. I'll check how much, but I'm assuming it's just milligram levels.
Yeah.
That's good. So we'll get some data back, which is really good. For the talks, there is a bit of a delay to that. Just because of lockdown at the moment. But it's not, as I think someone said at a previous meeting or one we met in person, but it's not crucial that we do that immediately because, of course, we want to know, you know, something about potency first. But I will keep monitoring that. But I think given that Paul's having to do the MRSA screening, I think that we don't need to worry too much about alternatives, you know, for the moment, because it looks like it's happening. Was there anything, in terms of thinking about alternatives, was there anything that leapt out at us about possibilities of getting screening done on MRSA or related bacteria?
No, not really. I mean, I had a quick look, but I didn't really find anything very useful.
Okay. Okay, but I think that's okay anyway. I think we're good to go with that. Just because I've got the screen, maybe I should just carry on with the remainder of this for the moment. So I was just going to mention that we still do have this interest in Pfizer to measure some transformations of these molecules. We were going to send actives and inactives, right? Are we in a position to do that yet?
Yeah, so I've resynthesized OSA 822, which is the thiophene, and OSA 820, which is the dimethoxy. That's the inactive compound.
Okay. I guess you're going to talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we have those. I think okay. I have at least 10 mgs of each of them. Okay. So I can scale up. It's like a one step from the core that Ed's made a bunch of. So
no, I think they need like 2 mgs or something. And
okay,
they'll put it through the assay and do the characterization, and they can fish out compound at the end.
Cool.
So I think that we should take them up on this offer, and I will go and check that that's still good and check how much they need.
Yeah.
Because they're happy to do it. In parallel, then. Oh, so sorry, just on this, we were talking there last time about an inactive control, so which is relevant to this thing. So we do have one now, right?
Yeah, I made it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Just on the HIFA.
So can I just have a quick question?
Yeah.
When you remake compounds, do you recheck the activity?
We lost.
Yes, I think the part of the idea behind resynthesizing the thiophene was to use that as sort of an internal control in the activity assays.
So it's going to go to the MRSA assay.
Yeah.
For sure. I had a really good conversation with the company HIFA, who are interested in working with us. They are discussing internally about what they can do, and then we'll learn about that next week, I think. So they're having a meeting next week. But it was an scientifically interesting meeting about what they're able to do with similar stuff to the Pfizer group. And we were talking about, but a little bit different, but we were talking about what they might be able to do with us. Looking promising, but I can't confirm anything yet. But I will report back on what's possible. So that's promising, anyway. It was a fun conversation, and they can do lots. Okay, I don't think there's anything on the, oh yeah, so just reporting back on the GSK conversation. So I was in touch with the team who reported these molecules initially from GSK. And I was in touch with the corresponding author of that article, a guy called James Callahan, who's in GSK still. And we had a long conversation about things, and I've sent him a summary of what we talked about, and I wanted him to check what I could say publicly. So I've done that, and I'm just waiting a reply. Matt is, a second, waiting. Clearance and GSK sharing publicly, and we'll report back. I mean, yeah, I should check it first before I say anything, because I don't know what's proprietary and what isn't. As you know, the paper where these compounds were reported was originally for a kinase project. So you can imagine that a lot of the MedChem that was done was trying to optimize for kinase inhibition and not necessarily antibacterial activity. So I think we should be cautious about the amount we might learn. But I was hoping for things like, compounds that might be available or information about tox or clearance. So I'll report back when I know what I can say.
Do you know what the kinase target was?
ALK5, I think.
Okay.
It's in one of the links on the wiki about the similarities.
Okay, I'll have a look.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And they published something and I can't remember if they published subsequent articles, but they certainly published it. So a lot of stuff was done, but it wasn't necessarily based on the thing, the exact core we're looking at, because they may well have diverged. Okay, and the other things are, again, just design criteria. So just on this thing about design criteria, have we, because it keeps on coming from the minutes, so maybe we should try and convert it to the wiki. Is this in the wiki now? This idea of keeping on a log P and predicted clearance?
I think so. I can double check. There's definitely a spot for it. So I added the link to FAME into the submissions, resources, and data tab of the wiki. So I can just make sure that we include, if you're submitting a compound design, you should submit a calculated log P and some sort of clearance.
Great. Yeah, just stick it there, right? So I think it's just about how we design compounds to make sure we're trying to fulfill our objectives. That's all.
Yeah.
Guidance.
Yeah, it's nice to just have that right away if somebody's proposing any sort of compound, that we can just immediately look at, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for putting the FAME thing up. It occurred to me as I was writing to the guy Johannes, who we were in touch with, and thanks for putting us in touch with him, Chris. It occurred to me that it's quite neat what's going on here, because we'll be getting data from Monash and hopefully from, for example, Pfizer or Haifa, these guys, and we will then be able to compare what we see with the predictions, which is going to be quite neat actually. And I think the people who make the software will be quite interested in what we find.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Johannes a few times, and he's very keen on building the applicability domain of the software. So if we have new results, I'm sure he'll be really interested.
Yeah, great. This thing about community updates, again, it just still stands. It keeps coming up. I guess we're just all pushed for time. When we get these first MRSA results from Paul Stapleton, I recommend you make a little video, but let's just keep that on the agenda for that, because I think it's important to highlight, new things. And the last thing I was going to talk about was this stuff to do with the activity against other bacteria, right? The original COAD data. So the original, we got that, didn't we?
No, I emailed Bill and Alvaro to see if they have it, and I just heard back from Alvaro today. And he said he doesn't have it, but Bill probably would. So I think maybe Matt, you might be able to get a hold of him better than I could. I don't know. I just haven't heard back from him yet.
Okay, fine. Yeah, because it would be very useful to know, wouldn't it? All right, I'll put that up there. We can get rid of the target product profile stuff because it's there, but we don't need to do anything about it just for now. Okay, that's fine. I can do that. No problem. All right. So, I mean, just in terms of the, clearance, all the compounds have been shipped. So 5 of the 9 were allowed in this project have been shipped. So we've got 4 slots left. And the MOA, the guy who's going to be doing the experiments, Lee, is on board. So I think we've done as much as we can for those, which just leaves the chemistry, right? So I will stop sharing if one of you guys wants to share something. Right.
Cool. Yeah, so not a ton new from me. I made this guy the inactive control, the dimethoxy compound, and then just working more on these sort of truncated core compounds. So I've kind of worked out some of the kinks in the synthesis. I just need to scale up so that I have enough material to push forward on the route. And then these ones at the bottom is just something I was kind of thinking about in terms of trying to modify this core a little bit more. So I was thinking if we made this alkyne, we could do some sort of triazole library. But yeah, that's not necessarily a hypothesis driven, but just sort of a similar heterocycle that maybe we could think about looking at. So I was just curious to get thoughts on that.
compounds like that where you might get a mixture of isomers is, again, like we said last time, not necessarily a problem, right? Because you can just screen mix.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
don't know,
anyway,
what do you think, Ed, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, all of these sort of ideas are worth exploring. What did you have in mind for R?
I was thinking something a little bit smaller groups, but those azides are hard to get a hold of. So yeah, I don't know. It might not be that great of an idea, but it's just sort of a brainstorming thing that I came up with.
Have has the alkyne been made before?
I don't know.
Okay, just wonder if it's compatible, you know, any issues with it. Don't see why there should be.
Yeah, we can kind of back burner those guys, but
if you want to do it, then do it, you know. You want to enjoy your bench time. Yep, sounds good, I think.
And then, so for my stuff, I guess similarly, not too much new. So these oxidized sulfur compounds, so I'd made the sulfone boronate ester, that was fine, but after the Suzuki, nothing really looked like the product. For the sulfoxide boronate ester, that one I was less sure about the actual thing, but I put it through and I could just see like the methylene peaks from these ones. So it didn't look like it had gone. So I've tried to do the direct oxidation on the scale up of Dana's compound. So it looks like it's worked. The yields are pretty poor though. So 39% after a regular column, and then 14% after reverse phase, which is like 3.9 mgs. So, I mean, if it is what it is, then I guess I can use more of this if we have enough, and then just scale it up so we have it. And then, yeah, I was thinking of doing the sulfoxide oxidation on this as well afterwards to see if that works. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like it's been giving like an N oxide, but our LCMS is down at the moment, so I haven't checked. And then the other thing is making that phenyl derivative, so that worked fine. So I've got, I think, 10 mgs of this, so we can send that for the next one as well.
Right. Great.
If you want to make those cyclic sulfones, having the pyridine there is probably not the best choice of substrate.
If you tried on that last compound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you might expect the yield to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth a shot if you have enough of it. What's do you happen to have a sense of next targets? I mean, you just mentioned some there, Dana. I guess I just wondered if there were unfulfilled targets that we had talked about right at the start that we haven't yet got to.
Not really, because most of our focus was on replacing the benzothiophene with these heterocycles, which we've made, I want to say like 8-ish of those. So I think getting results back from that will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just remind me on the imidazole portion, just without the ring there, what do we have that is like methyl and stuff? Sorry, I should know that, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of trying to make the N-methyl and the NH compounds. I figured we would just start with those and see how that goes.
Okay,
so
fine.
Those will be ready for this first round of testing also.
Great, because that was one of the metabolic flags, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sounds really good. Great. Good stuff. I mean, I think that is, that's the law, isn't it? I mean, I guess, you know, we want to try and just get as many of those, you know, purified and characterized to the point that we're happy with them for evaluation on Wednesday, and then see how we go. Sound all right?
Yeah.
Great. We are done in 24 minutes. Was there any other business that we should be taking care of? I mean, these research meetings should be quite focused, I guess. Nothing else, right? All good. Well, we are good to go. Well, thank you very much for that. I will, as usual, post this and spruce up the minutes and make sure the action items are live because I think we've dealt with everything, which is good. All right. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody. See you next
Bye
week.
then. Yeah. Bye.
See ya.